In this video, I'm here to show you the beautiful capital city of Victoria, Australia, Melbourne. But as we drove from Adelaide via Mount Gambier's Blue Lake and the gorgeous Great Ocean Road, the rain started to descend as we neared Melbourne. In fact, it rained cats and dogs as we entered the city on the highway. Unfortunately, this is a common occurrence in Melbourne, which interestingly is sometimes touted as the world's most livable city.
We had one full day here on our road trip. So what did we get up to?
Keep watching to discover how to spend your time in Melbourne
when the rain tries to interrupt your plans.
Good morning from Melbourne. This is the capital city of Victoria, Australia. We arrived quite late last night, but fortunately Melbourne, being the largest city in Australia now, overtaking Sydney last year in terms of population, still had some quality restaurants open well into the evening. And it was Tuesday after all, so credit where credit is due. Most of these restaurants are super hipster and uber trendy. Many of them are hidden under the city streets or in a back corner alleyway obscured from the general pedestrian view. Melbourne bars are actually one of my favourite aspects of this city. So we went to a little restaurant called Lucy Lou, only a few streets from where we are staying, and it was divine. We had yellowfin tuna sashimi, prawn and spinach dumplings, green papaya salad with shrimp, chilli and lime, and then finished with some delicious banana fritters with vanilla ice cream. Melbourne is a truly cosmopolitan city, well known for its coffee culture, high-rise buildings, the Yarra River which runs through its city centre, mysteriously hidden bars, and of course the MCG, Melbourne Cricket Ground, Australia's largest sporting stadium which can hold up to 100,000 spectators. It's truly incredible on a game day. I'd highly recommend this precinct or this area to stay in, either Flinders Street or Collins Street, because it is so central and so close to many of the Melbourne icons, including Fitzroy Gardens, Captain Cook's Cottage, Flinders Street Station and Federation Square, where you'll see all of the Australians congregating for any major sporting event worldwide. It's become iconic, often with this square being shown on the news. Today we'll be exploring the city of Melbourne, mostly from underneath an umbrella, with on and off rain forecast all day. Unfortunately, you'll just have to be prepared for this if you visit Melbourne. First up, we snake our way through some of the alleyways and lanes, full of floor-to-ceiling graffiti art. We have a couple of surprise big-ticket itinerary items on the agenda. One we didn't make it to, but I'd highly recommend, is the Melbourne Sky Deck. This is the Southern Hemisphere's highest observation deck and has unparalleled views of the city from almost 300 metres high. The other major attraction, which is open daily except for Mondays and Wednesdays, is the Queen Victoria Market, or Queen Vic Markets. This is the largest market in the Southern Hemisphere, and the stalls cover over 7 hectares. But for now, we are staying right around the corner from De Grave Street, home to some amazing brunch spots, and of course, coffee. So what are we waiting for? Let's go. Essential morning kickstart. Melbourne, we have pulled pork and potato bombers. I mean, promise that these will explode in delight when I open them. So let's have a look. Oh yeah, look at that. Delicious. They're bombers.
Bombers?
Yeah.
What's in the bomber?
Bomber is potato. Been suitably rained out in Melbourne, so I think our day of exploring will be very different to what we'd expected. What are we doing?
Drinking beer.
We've got an umbrella in tow now, so I think we're set.
The Yarra Club.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We have found our way now, a break in the rain, to one of the famous streets called Hosier Lane, and this is absolutely lined and street art. So you'll find some really cool examples of local street art if you wander down this lane and in some of the many other lanes that surround it. And I've actually just met the artist behind this piece of graffiti art here. Great guy, thanks for the subscribe. So you simply must come down to Hosier Lane where you can take your photo with one of these amazing pieces of street art. Well, the rain has held out further still and we've made our way to Federation Square. It's a very exciting place to be when there's any kind of major sporting event going on in Australia. Behind me here is Flinders Street Station, and this is the oldest railway station in Australia, built in 1854. It's also the second busiest and a beautiful piece of architecture in Melbourne City, one of the major icons to see. Raining again. It's 1:30 now and we're going for a leisurely stroll along the Yarra River. Very beautiful this time of day. We've just spotted a little bar that's floating on the water called Afloat Naturally, and it seems to be calling us over. Walking along Batman Avenue for our next item on our agenda in Melbourne. We are doing an MCG tour. This is the Melbourne Cricket Ground, or the G as known to locals, and it is the largest stadium in the Southern Hemisphere. To the left we have the MCG, and to the right is the Melbourne Tennis Centre with Rod Laver Arena poking behind those trees. That's our centre court for the Australian Open. It's a very wet and miserable day today, but in January this place is booming. The MCG has a maximum capacity of over 100,000 people. If you hear that many spectators cheering, it is magnetic. The crowd can sometimes go pretty wild at an AFL game. Most exciting part of this tour, we're about to head down to the ground of the MCG. I have been to the MCG for a few games, but I've never been down onto that hallowed turf. Here we go, walking down onto the ground of the MCG. Here we go. To be in here today. It's still set up for the Brisbane Lions, who played only 5 days ago in the AFL Grand Final. the MCG tour, which was absolutely amazing, and it's $33 each for an adult. We now have our sweatbands that will get us entry into the Australian Sports Museum for another $10. It's great down here. There's so much memorabilia, AFL cricket and Olympics. Well, we have definitely warmed up after our interactive experience at the Australian Sport Museum in the base of the MCG. A really delightful place to see so much memorabilia, really interesting for me as a bit of a sports lover. But now time to head back into the main area of the city. It's just gone 5 p.m, which is the closing time for the museum. We'll see what last things we can fit into our day in Melbourne. Adventure away.